Have we been lied to for our entire childhood? Are two of the most beloved characters in cartoon history really two evil masterminds in disguise? Is the Crimson Chin really the hero we believe him to be? This is Nicktoons Mysteries. Underneath all the joy and laughter on their cartoons, they may have been promoting something sinister, something so entirely bizarre that I'm genuinely surprised they allowed this to even make it to air. Now, you're probably familiar with Sheldon J. Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants. He's the owner and manager of the failing restaurant The Chum Bucket, a restaurant so awful that it's barely even managed to attract one customer over the years. Don't ask me how he's able to pay the bills, we don't know either. He's made it his mission in life to steal the secret formula to Krabby Patties and put Mr. Krabs out of business. He's also married to his computer wife, Karen. Meanwhile, over on Hey Arnold, you've got Helga G. Pataki, a 10-year-old who's constantly neglected by her father, as well as her mother, who definitely isn't an alcoholic. I can assure you, those are just movies. She's also often overlooked in favour of her academically gifted older sister, Olga. Largely due to the lack of attention she receives from others, particularly her family, she develops an obsessive stalkerish crush on the first person to notice her and treat her like a human, this being Arnold. Her obsession with Arnold becomes one of the main focuses of the show, where she constantly bullies and antagonizes Arnold out of fear of rejection if he were to learn her true feelings. At this point, you're probably wondering why I'm bringing this all up, considering SpongeBob SquarePants and Hey Arnold are two entirely different shows. But this is where I must bring up something else entirely that connects the two, the Nicktoons Summer Beach House. For those who may not remember, the Nicktoons Summer Beach House was a summer marathon that would, as the name implies, air on Nickelodeon during the summer months of 2002 and 2003. The premise is that during this time, many different Nicktoons characters would go on a summer trip to the aforementioned beach house, and a different show would hold a 6-hour marathon each day. Whilst the marathon would play, different bumpers would air during each advert break. Sometimes this would include various Nicktoons characters interacting with each other that normally wouldn't happen otherwise. By now, you've probably figured out that two of the Nicktoons featured were SpongeBob SquarePants and Hey Arnold, and, as can be expected, several different animated bumpers were produced featuring the characters from both shows.
There's more SpongeBob next, here at the Nicktoons Summer Beach House.
Right. Well, I guess I'll just sit here and watch more SpongeBob. Next on the Nicktoons Summer Beach House.
Most of these were pretty innocent, but there's one particular bumper that has some very strange implications. In one of these shorts, SpongeBob can be seen asking Plankton if he would rather rule the world or kiss Helga G. Pataki.
Okay, Plankton. Rule the world or be a true friend.
Rule the world.
Rule the world or eat a Krabby Patty.
Eat a crab. Rule the world.
Rule the world or kiss Helga G. Pataki.
Who told you?
It's totally obvious. Come on, choose.
Choose between the two things I desire most? The two things for which I would sacrifice all else?
Yeah,
Tough call. Can we watch more Hey Arnold while I think about it?
sure.
Can I pick both?
No.
Can't.
Plankton immediately becomes embarrassed and asks SpongeBob how he knew, and SpongeBob points out how obvious it is. Now, why on earth is Plankton openly stating that 10-year-old Helga is one of the things that he desires most in the world, and why on earth is SpongeBob even encouraging it? This is where the investigation officially begins. For Exhibit A, we need to look back at that initial clip of SpongeBob and Plankton. As the clip showed, Plankton quickly got flustered when asked about his crush on Helga. No denying it, no trying to point out the age difference, just embarrassment that SpongeBob figured it out, so we can deduce that Plankton has no issue with the age difference between him and Helga. And judging by the body language of SpongeBob, it could be suggested that SpongeBob is even trying to encourage him to make a move. Perhaps SpongeBob isn't as innocent as we're led to believe he is. You may be wondering how old Plankton is at this point. Well, although his age has never been made public, we do have some visual evidence to help us give a more clear answer. Firstly, in the Season 5 episode Friend or Foe, a flashback reveals that Plankton and Mr. Krabs share a birthday. Mr. Krabs has been in the Navy, fought as a pirate, and has lived long enough to since have a 16-year-old daughter named Pearl. The very same whale who is seen as a baby in Camp Coral. We can also see in Camp Coral that Plankton is already a fully grown adult, dating what appears to be a baby Karen. Wait, what? Let's make a note of that to get back to later.
We don't have all morning!
Ooh, hey, what do you call this slop?
I tell you, but I'm not supposed to use that kind of language in front of children.
Through all this evidence, we can deduce that Plankton is likely at least 50, and let's not forget all those times he reminded us of his college education.
Hear me, Krabs. When I discover your formula for Krabby Patties, I'll run you out of business. I went to college! You're not fooling anybody. I went to college!
I'm leaving for college.
I went to college.
For those of you who believe this was just a one-time joke that shouldn't be looked into too far in depth, unfortunately, this isn't even the only clip acknowledging Plankton's not-so-secret crush on Helga. Let's move on to Exhibit B. For Exhibit B, we need to move away from a summer beach house and go on a winter trip to the North Pole. For those who don't remember, in the early 2000s, Nickelodeon produced a stop-motion animated short entitled Nick Holiday Party, which detailed the events of the after-party when Goddard saved Nickmas with his red nose. We had Mr. Krabs rapping a song about Krabby Patties, Jorgen von Strangle started gossip on SpongeBob, and even the Crimson Chin was there, flirting with a 16-year-old Debbie Thornberry.
There was flirting.
There I was, sweet cheeks, cornered with the vicious and ferocious abominable starfish of the north.
Wait, an adult superhero flirting with a teenager? Do you approve of this, Nigel?
I don't want to alarm you, dearest, but I'm afraid I've lost the sight in my eye.
Move your hand, Nigel.
What a woman.
Towards the end, we see a montage of different embarrassing photos that were taken during a holiday party. Let's have a look.
Whew, there were embarrassing photos.
Now, let's rewind this clip. Here we see what looks to be a drunk Plankton trying to kiss an underage Helga. And yes, whilst it is customary to kiss under the mistletoe, Plankton is looking like he's having too much of a good time, and Helga is clearly uncomfortable with the situation. It looks like Plankton decided to make a move once he realized that everybody was aware of his little crush. Now, as for whether or not these events could be considered canon or not to the series, let's look at this photo of SpongeBob ripping his pants. Could this not be considered an embarrassing snapshot of SpongeBob at the Christmas party? Perhaps the very same embarrassing snapshot of SpongeBob at the Christmas party that is referenced in the Season 2 episode The Secret Box?
Good thing he didn't pull the secret string opening the secret compartment of my secret box, revealing one embarrassing snapshot of SpongeBob at the Christmas party! Merry Christmas, SpongeBob!
As word got out of Plankton's crush on Helga, we decided to ask him directly what his motives were and if he thought he'd be able to get away with it. Any thoughts, Plankton?
I don't know. I never thought I'd get this far.
Now, as part of the investigation, we decided to look at two different possibilities. Perhaps SpongeBob and Plankton are both innocent actors and this was all the works of a writer at Nickelodeon. Or perhaps Plankton truly is a creep who decided to incorporate that creepiness into the shows that he'd been working on.
With my ingenious Toon Twister 3D animation creation engine, registered trademark, I shall control every aspect of their putrid cartoon lives from the anonymous safety of this desk.
Perhaps this is all the works of a single writer or writing team that thought it'd be funny to make a pairing out of Plankton and Helga, After all, according to all the different bumpers Nickelodeon produced in the early 2000s, all of the Nicktoons characters are actually just actors on the set who regularly hang out together when not filming their shows. It's also worth noting that canonically for this to work, Helga would have to be a kid living with her parents who just so happened to go with her friends to a summer beach house with other cartoon characters, and also works in Santa's workshop in the winter. Meanwhile, Plankton would have to be a failing restaurant owner with an ambition to rule the world, who also just so happens to be okay with helping Santa make toys for children all over the world, and decides to hang out with kids by the pool in the summer. With the exception of that last part in context to this video, none of the other parts canonically make sense at all. If this is the work of a writing team, they seem to have no problem with pairing characters with problematic age gaps. As we've already seen, the Crimson Chin had openly flirted with Debbie Thornberry during the Christmas party, and as we tried to get a comment from Helga about this whole situation, we uncovered shocking footage of 16-year-old Debbie flirting with a 10-year-old Arnold.
Hey, it's pretty bright out here, Debbie. Better put some more sunscreen on.
Oh, good idea, Arnold. Here's a better idea. Leave Arnold alone. This should help. Hey, this itches. Itching cream, my special formula.
Debbie, quick, rub this on.
Arnold, you are such a doll. Stupid football head.
Clearly, this beach house isn't really the safest place for children. Now, the question remains at this point. If this is all the works of a writer at Nickelodeon, then who is responsible for all these weird pairings? Unfortunately, we don't have concrete evidence. However, a Nicktoons character who wishes to remain anonymous claims it could all be the works of a Mr. Sheldon Dinkelberg.
Push me higher, Sheldon! Higher!
Wait, Sheldon Dinkelberg? Sheldon Plankton? Could this Mr. Dinkelberg have written Plankton this way out of jealousy of not being the most popular Sheldon on the network?
Dinkelberg has gone too far this time!
Maybe this is the product of a toxic environment for the animated characters to be working in. Perhaps our anonymous source is right to be incredibly suspicious of this character. We shouldn't let Plankton off a hook so easily despite all the evidence from Scenario 1, however. Perhaps Plankton is even more evil than we were first initially led to believe. What we know about Plankton is that he supposedly has a crush on Helga, but let's delve deeper into that. What is it about Helga that Plankton would be attracted to in the first place? We all know that Helga acts as a bully to protect herself from being rejected by others. Perhaps Plankton was attracted to the bully side of her, the side of her who instills fear in others. We all know that Plankton would be attracted to evil. However, on the other side, maybe it's the fact that Plankton could relate to her fear of rejection. Being the most hated creature in Bikini Bottom, and being forced to build himself a robot wife, Plankton would certainly understand the fear of rejection from others. Fortunately, we've managed to uncover some footage of the moment Plankton first met Helga.
Such beauty! She's an angel and no wires! I've never felt like this before. I don't even know her name, and yet she's stolen my heart.
For more evidence that this was all the works of Plankton, we need to look at Camp Coral. Taking place 16 years ago, approximately, Plankton spent most of his time working as the local chef, serving disgusting slop to the children, but secretly, he had an underground laboratory where he would perform numerous experiments. And hidden in this lab away from the other campgoers was a young Karen, and to emphasize, Plankton built Karen, meaning he intentionally built her to appear young when he decided he needed a robot wife. Suddenly, with this information, Plankton is beginning to look a lot less innocent. But now, we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Plankton is married to Karen, meaning he was a married man trying to pursue someone else. We asked Karen her feelings about the situation and managed to obtain footage of her reaction.
Plankton! You've fallen in love with another woman? I'm your wife!
You're a WIFE. Wired Integrated Female Electroencephalograph. Karen, baby! Come on, sugar lips. You know I'm sorry for everything I said.
I accept your apology.
This wouldn't be the first time Plankton was caught cheating on Karen either, as we managed to find footage of Plankton bringing in an unspecified robot into the chum bucket for a date. Unfortunately for Plankton, no one else was willing to take him in once it became public knowledge what had happened. He was forced to move in with SpongeBob after being kicked out. And speaking of SpongeBob, it should be noted once again at this point that SpongeBob is not entirely innocent in this situation either. SpongeBob was the one to point out to Plankton that he knew about his crush on Helga. We also found footage of SpongeBob actively trying to encourage Plankton to win Helga's heart.
Plankton, there's only one thing to do. You need to give her a present from in here.
What, like a kidney?
No, from the heart. That's where your love grows.
We tried to approach SpongeBob for comment on his involvement in the crime, but unfortunately, we were cut off by an angry mob who were also on the theme for answers.
Folks, we have a minor situation going on in the kitchen.
Minor situation? Minor as in young person, such as Helga? Since our investigation, both Plankton and SpongeBob have been arrested and brought into custody for questioning, but both are trying to maintain their innocence. SpongeBob has reportedly even tried claiming it was actually an identical actor posing as him.
Save it for the judge, boyo. Come clean. Nobody else even looks like you. Except that guy.
So, was this all the works of a writer on Nickelodeon? Or was this all just the thick work of Plankton and SpongeBob? Unfortunately at this time, the evidence remains inconclusive. As more and more evidence comes out, however, we're sure to get a clearer answer sometime in the future. But for now, we'd like to ask for your views on this situation. Is this all just some fiction written by some weirdos at the Nickelodeon Animation Studios? Or are Plankton and SpongeBob criminal masterminds who need to be locked up forever? Let us know your views in the comments. Until then, I've been your host, SpongeLear, trans-autistic detective extraordinaire. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next time for our next Nicktoons mystery.